Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 224 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here today, starting with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. What's up, Richard?
Hey, Seth. What's going on?
Not much. We have a pretty interesting week as far as the cast goes this week. Some late-breaking news, not a lot of actual gameplay, but a lot of some community topics. But before I get into all that, we also have with us Krim. What's up, Krim?
Hey, how's it going, Seth?
I am doing pretty well. I'm excited for this cast. A lot of times we talk about tournament news and stuff like that, but we have some interesting topics today. So next week, we will be kicking off spoiler season for Modern Horizons. I know it officially starts Monday. I kind of think that they said it's going to start over the weekend at the end of the Magic Online Championship, which is going on this week, which also, I believe, features Modern as one of the formats. So, but yes, we will shortly have Modern Horizons spoilers. But for this week, we have some interesting topics. So first off, we want to talk kind of a follow-up to our Mythic Edition discussion from last week. Basically, we know more about what Wizards is doing to try to correct the problems, I guess, that happened with Mythic Edition. And then there's a lot of MPL news, Magic Pro League news. They started the actual league itself as far as gameplay this weekend. And then some players leaving, coming, going. So that's kind of the topics for today. And then, of course, fish mail to wrap things up. So let's jump right into it and kick things off with Mythic Edition. So last week we talked about kind of the issues with Mythic Edition with canceled orders and refunds and this whole weird thing. So now we got a little bit more news about Mythic Edition. Richard, why don't you fill us in on what happened with the wrap up to this Mythic Edition story?
I have no idea, Seth. I saw the post for the class action lawsuit. I rolled my eyes. I also know that so last week. So when the refunds came out, people were getting like partial refunds and they didn't get the whole. So WotC and eBay has kind of squared that all up. They have made sure that your shipping and taxes and whatever were refunded. In addition to that, people are getting full uncut foil sheets of War of the Spark. They got a coupon code, which was how much? $50?
I think $20 from eBay, yeah.
$20, and these are people that got the confirmation. So like they said, like your order went through and then later got canceled, right? And then there was a rush of posts of like, how do I frame a full uncut sheet of foils, and how do I cut them? And the TLDR, don't cut them unless you take them to like a real place to cut them. And they are notoriously expensive to frame, so good luck, but it is pretty cool. And if you don't want yours, I want one.
Yeah, I'll take it. If you don't want it.
Yeah, I kind of want one too. So
Hasbro and WotC tried to do their best to square people up. And then there was this lawsuit, which is just a class action lawsuit. And I don't really know what the actual case is or if it's valid or anything about that because I am not a lawyer.
Yeah, I am definitely not a lawyer too. From what I could tell, it seemed like the crux of the case is essentially, if I'm understanding it right, like Wizards offered these for sale, which is like sort of some sort of contract legally or something, and then not to fill those orders is like somehow illegal or something. I have no idea how legitimate that is. Some people seem to think, oh yeah, this is a good thing. Other people were like, eBay says sellers can cancel their orders. That's like part of their terms of service. So I have no idea why this like is even a thing. I think this is the first time this has happened though. And I know that the website for the lawyer or like lawyers group or whatever that is putting on this lawsuit was actually crashed by Magic players when they announced it. So it seems like a lot of people are jumping on the train, enough so to crash the website. I don't know. What do you think about all this, Grim?
I mean, okay, I'm very I'm very like torn on this personally because like I understand why some people would be upset, but at the same time I'm not really like I'm I'm not the kind of person that would be like this mad about it, right? Like they still did something, you know what I mean? Like they still did something where they gave like a foil uncut sheet. And I know some people, like I had this debate with friends. They're like, yeah, but what am I can't even like play with these cards. And I'm like, well, but this uncut sheet is sweet. So I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that I'm just not really that upset about it personally. So, but I don't understand why there's a class action lawsuit about it.
Yeah, like as a business owner, I just like shake my head. I'm like, okay, I understand if WotC like prints some kind of card, it's poisonous or something. Someone gets sick, and they're like, okay, yes, right, like there was negligence here or something, or like they cut the cards, they were too sharp or something, and people were getting cut, yeah. Right? But like this is not the first time someone put something up for sale and something went terribly wrong, right? Like, were they malicious? Was there negligence? Like, I don't know, right? Like, is this really a good use of people's time and money to be suing each other based on these things? So, yeah, I understand they did something wrong. But, maybe this has the opposite effect, right? Where they're like, wow, every time we try to sell something and it goes wrong, people try to sue us left and right. Let's just not sell promos, right? Like, I don't know, right? Like, so I don't understand this lawsuit, if it's valid or not, but really, like, every time some website crashes when you can't buy something, like, do you go sue them? Like, I don't know. It just seems weird.
Be suing a lot of people then.
Yeah, like, there's just so many things outside of WotC where stuff goes wrong on Amazon or eBay or something. And like, I don't know. I just don't see the point of it. And I think it was generous of WotC to give everyone the uncut foil sheet plus the $20 certificate. I understand why they didn't give cards, because if they gave cards, it would like affect the market and things like that. So they gave you the uncut sheet. I just would have hoped it would have been more practical. Like, it's cool to have this thing, but like, how are you going to frame it or ship it or do anything with it? It's like so hard to manipulate, right? So, but it's pretty cool. It's like those giant cards. Like, they're really cool, but they're just like super impractical if you're trying to like ship them or do anything with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also a little awkward because foil uncut sheets are normally fairly valuable, but if you're giving out 10,000, or probably like the low estimates I've seen have been like around 10,000, and it could be more than that because they had like 50,000 orders at one point, but some of those might not like actually count towards getting the sheets for whatever reason, like multiple orders and stuff. So the value definitely goes down quite a bit because there's so many of them, which actually makes the like compensation a lot less valuable than a foil uncut sheet would normally be. For the lawsuit, I think it really only benefits the lawyers for the most part. Have you ever gotten like a class action lawsuit thing in the mail? I can't remember. It was like
I get them and immediately throw them away. Right? Even if this somehow is worth something, I get like $10. Like, is there a point to any of this? Like,
yeah, like one of my cell phone companies had sketchy advertising or something, and I got a thing in the mail. And is it really worth it? You get like $2 or $5 or $10, and then even if it's like a multi-million-dollar settlement, that's mostly going to the lawyers that took on the thing.
Take a big fat cut, and then the leftovers they split amongst everyone else.
So it kind of feels a little bit like ambulance chasey from the lawyers' end, that they're like, this is a chance for me to like sneak into this community and make a bunch of money. So I don't know. I guess the good thing that some people said that does make some amount of sense is maybe the lawsuit will encourage Wizards to fix the issues, but I think that's a little silly. Like, if you're going to do that, do it when the Hasbro toy shop, which everyone knew was going to be an issue, was an issue. Like, I feel like Wizards kind of did fix the issue, and it, like, is rough that this went so wrong, but they did move to eBay, which was a big step in the right direction. If you can't trust eBay to sell your stuff properly, like, what e-retailer can you trust? Like, eBay is up there with Amazon as, like, some of the oldest and most legitimate e-retailers in the world. So I feel like it's a little silly for Wizards to get hammered so hard this time. If you're going to be really mad at Wizards, like, literally everyone in the world said don't sell it through Hasbro Toy Shop. Like, we know this is not going to work. And that was a little predictable when that went wrong. So I don't know.
Next year,
what a mess.
No online shopping. You gotta go to WotC headquarters, line up 8 a.m. physically buy cash only. We don't want to use any technology here with credit cards. They could go wrong.
This is why we can't have nice things.
So the only other thing I would say is the compensation is also a little awkward because you actually Like my case, for example, I won't get a foil sheet, and I did try to order, but I never actually like could complete the order because eBay hung up, and by the time it worked, it said it was out of stock. So it doesn't cover everyone who tried at the right time to get Mythic Edition. So,
Maybe
but
you
I
should
guess that's
join
kind
this
of
class action lawsuit I've been hearing about, Seth.
Yeah.
To get compensated for your time.
I want my $5. At least they're trying to do something. Did you have something, Chris?
Oh, no. It's just like, I don't know. It's for $5, like, what is pretty much $5? It's just like, that's such bad value. Why would I go out of my way to do all of this? Ugh.
As far as the sheets themselves, it looks like they are down to under $200 on eBay. I'm seeing a bunch in like 170, 150 with no bids. So at that price, are you guys tempted to pick one of these up just to like frame and hang? I think it would be a cool thing to have hanging on the wall. Like, what price would you buy one of these?
Can someone break down the price? So if I were to buy one, how much is shipping? How much would it be to like get it framed? Like, what is the total cost to me for me to put this on my wall? Because I'm afraid it says 200. But when I'm done with it, it costs me like $800. Like, that's what I'm afraid of.
So most of the eBay auctions are free shipping. So that's the good news. So you can get one of the sheets for, let's say, for sure, like $180 with free shipping. Framing, I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard it's pretty expensive. And I've also heard you have to kind of get like higher end framing done, like non-acidic and certain stuff to like maintain the cards over the long haul. So I think you are going to have to invest probably a few $100 just from reading random Reddit threads and stuff to actually get it framed properly. You could just like frame it and toss it up there pretty cheaply, but the cards would eventually be harmed by the cheaper frame and like whatever materials are in it. So I would think you'd probably be looking maybe $500, let's say, framing, buying the whole thing.
I think I'll put up my $5 poster. I don't know. This is...
But you could always cut it up, Richard. You could cut it up and sell them off like 10 years from now.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
As Richard personally cut this sheet.
Super lopsided.
None of the lines are straight, yeah, and the corners are square. We're playing collector's edition now.
It's just misprints, right? Part of the other card is still on it.
You know, a lot of people are going to try to cut it themselves, and you know it's not going to go well. Like, I know people are going to try to do that. So please don't. It's not going to work. There's no way you can get a proper Magic card by like grabbing your scissors and going to town on your uncut sheet. Anyway, any other thoughts on Mythic Edition, the compensation, or is it time to move on to MPL stuff? All right, let's talk some MPL. So we actually have a surprising amount of MPL Magic Pro League stuff to talk about. Starting with number 1, we actually had the start of the Magic Pro League. So the Magic Pro League, while it's kind of like a group of players that get to go to pro tours and invitationals and stuff, it's actually also sort of a actual league that's taking place on Saturdays on the Wizards Twitch, and then whoever does best gets a bye into day 2 of the next Arena Mythic Championship, and you get, I believe, 2 Mythic points per win or something, one of the players told me. So there are a pretty big amount of prizes on the line. Did either one of you catch any of the Magic Pro League week 1 this weekend?
I only got to tune in for a split second and watch a little bit of it.
I didn't know it took place until Seth told me today.
I was kind of in Crim's camp. I didn't get to watch it all weekend, but I did get to tune in and watch some parts of it. What did you think of it, Crim?
You know, I personally kind of enjoyed it because, I mean, like, there's a few things. So the coverage on it was interesting. I liked the team that they had. I really liked seeing Kibler and like, you know, all like the people that you saw from the first invitational, like kind of doing it, but with Cedric Phillips, all that too. And then of course seeing all the pros playing and just seeing their take on what are the best decks and what are the optimal builds. So I liked it for like high level competitive play. Yeah.
So it definitely was high level competitive play. It is a lot of really good players playing the best decks in standard. So that's an upside. The casters were really solid. You had Cedric, you had Kibler. Who was the last one, Krim? The floor reporter from the Mythic Invitational.
Oh, Becca?
I can never remember her name. Yeah, Becca.
She's good.
Yeah. So I had a really solid group of casters. A thing that I didn't like was in this, we're probably going to kind of get into this as we talk more about the Magic Pro League, but I didn't find the actual decks all that entertaining. I feel like the Magic Pro League, it has this duality to it that I'm really trying to understand and come to grips with. Like, on one hand, you had literally the top 32 pro point earners. So, at least to start off the league, the top 32 players. On the other hand, there's like streaming contracts and all this like entertainment based stuff. And I'm really trying to figure out, like, with this pro league, is the idea to be like, okay, you get to watch the best players in the world play Esper versus Mono Red every weekend? Or is it supposed to be like a Twitch entertainment, product where, yeah, you have good players, but it's actually like an entertainment thing? And I'm really struggling with how to come to grips with this. And I almost feel like Wizards is in the same place, like this weird balancing act where streaming, the best streamers, if you look at the top Twitch views of streamers, they're not the most competitive streamers. You got people like Nox and Jeff Hoogland and Caleb that are streaming semi-competitive decks, downright janky decks some of the time.
Yeah.
Those are like the most Twitch views. And then you have MPL players who are amazing players, way better than anyone I just named off, that are getting much less views playing those top tier decks. And it's so weird. What do you guys think of the duality of the Magic Pro League? How do you look at this? Do you look at this like a spiky best player in the world thing, or more of an entertainment, like grow the game and entertain the masses product?
100% entertainment. Most people are not trying to become a better player. Like, this is why giving in-game advice never works. This applies to all games. Like, League of Legends, StarCraft. You try to tell your teammate, like, oh, if you just did this, you'd be better. And then, people immediately shut up. Like, they're not trying to get better directly like that, right? Like, there's very few people. There are a couple people, Pro Tour grinders are like, oh yeah, this is great. Thank you for this feedback. Most people are just trying to have fun and be entertained, right? So, while this Esper mirror may be like a masterclass in how to navigate control mirrors between two pros, it is incredibly boring for everyone else. Most people just want to see some weird jank combo off, take someone. They want to see some kind of comeback story. Oh, he got down to one life, stabilized, and came back. Some underdog story. This guy, you never played Magic, whatever. This other guy was born from a Magic family, and now they're battling. Like, that's what people want to watch, right? So, yes, like you can't just have like total scrubs going at it, right? But you want to watch fun Magic. It's like football, right? Like, yes, you could have this defensive battle where the score is like 3-0 and it was like the greatest match of football ever. Or you can just watch two gunslingers going and the score is like 49-47 and people love that stuff, right? So that's where we're at, right? It's going to be entertainment and with, some competitive aspect to make it look quasi-legitimate, right? And then, yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of like, I actually want to see competitive play more than, I love entertainment and I think, fun decks are, should definitely be there. But at the same time, if I'm a newer player who wants to get better at the game and all this other stuff, I do want an outlet where I can tune in and watch players, play like a certain deck optimally, right? And then this way I can learn from that. And so there, I do agree that it should be more entertaining. Like, sometimes, just mono red versus mono red or Esper versus Esper is going to be a little boring, but you get mirror matches with how popular they are, can be, like, it's going to be something you want to know how to maneuver as a player. How do you sideboard? How do you do all this other stuff? So I kind of actually like the way the MPL is super spiky, yeah, unfortunately it's mono red versus Esper. How many times can you handle it? But
here's the problem with that, Krim. For that person, you have to play Magic to watch.
Right.
Right. And if you want to be in esports, you need to transcend that your watchers are players. Like, we all watch football or basketball or baseball, but how many of us actually play those sports on a regular basis? Like, very few.
Right.
Same with like League of Legends, StarCraft. You watch like these esports without actually playing. Maybe you were a player at one point, but you don't actively play. So the holy grail for Magic is that maybe your life gets busy, you no longer play Magic, but you still tune into MPL every week and watch to see what's going on, right? And for those players, learning optimal lines isn't as important because they don't even play anymore, right? So I think that's kind of the holy grail where we want to get, where people watch this card game without actually playing it.
Well, then this is where you can kind of go a little away from like, you know, basketball, all that is stuff. You go a little more like how wrestling does it. You spin a narrative. I'm not even you spin a narrative.
Yeah.
You make a cool story out of the matches, right? Because like the matches are, instead of randomizing or whatever, maybe you go like, well, like boxing or something. Like, oh, well, this week it's going to be like Reed Duke versus Seth Manfield. And you can dig up some history like, oh, they've played each other 9 times before in the top 8 of another PT, which is still part of the NFL. You still hear that like, oh, these teams have gone at it this amount of times. And so you just get you spin a narrative on it. So there's this weird, cool story to it. Like, yeah, all right, well, this is the underdog, you know, like this person has never beaten this person in a competitive, like in a best of 3 match or something like that, right?
I love it. So, I love the WWE. I don't know if it's Cedric Phillips just corrupting me, but the whole thing of, so WWE, right? Is it real? No. Are these guys insanely talented and athletic? Yes. Right. And I think MPL is going to be somewhere like that, where like these players are all really good players, but you're kind of emphasizing the story and the drama, and it's actually some kind of weird soap opera. And, you know, like, let's not pretend NFL is not like that too, right? Like, you know, NFL is an actual sport, but people love the, you know, the Tom Brady, Belichick evil empire story and like the Peyton Manning things. Like, they all love that controversy, like the WWE aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where MPL needs to kind of fit in, because we're going to get to this in the future. It's not just the top players in the MPL, right? It's not a stack rank of whoever has most pro points or achievements or whatever, right? It is a selection of players.
I think, yeah, and we'll get to that in just a minute. The thing I wanted to say is I think your football example is really a good one. I really like football, and I can really enjoy a 10-3 football game where you see great defense. If you are like a long time in franchise football plan, or fan, you will enjoy that type of game. However, like my whatever random friend that doesn't care about football, my mother, whoever, they don't want to see a 10-3 football game. They want to see the 49-47 because they don't care about football. They just want to see cool things happen. So I think that's the problem with the super spiky plan is, sure, like the very enfranchised Magic players that can look at an Esper mirror and appreciate the intricacies of leaving up your counter spells, they're gonna love it. But read the Magic Arena subreddit. Those people don't want it. Those people hate Teferi. Oh my goodness, you've never seen a group of people hate anything more than the Arena subreddit hates Teferi. They don't want to see an Esper mirror. They just want to see crazy, flashy stuff happen, because that's what they think of Magic. They want to see a big Ajani's Pride Mate, or someone like, you know, cast a huge Electro Dominance or something. So I feel like what makes for the best like tournament Magic is not what makes for the best entertainment product. And I feel like it's even more important now with Arena, where you're getting all these like casual to semi-competitive players joining the game because of Arena. Those are the people that we should be appealing to. Like, one of the biggest flaws with Magic content is like 90% of the content is made for the spikes, which are like 10% of the player base. Like, yeah. And Wizards needs to realize that that's not exactly, and this isn't to say they need bad players or to make everyone play Momir against the odds decks, but I would love to see MPL like do like the Super League, where you can only play the same deck one time for the course of the league, just to force people to play. You don't got to play a bad deck, but play different decks and see different things to make the entertainment part of the MPL a little bit more appealing to the not enfranchised players that are a majority of the player base.
Well, before we get too filthy casual, let me bring it back to the actual MPL here. So the actual broadcast, it looked kind of like the Mythic Invitational, but there were a couple of key elements missing, right? They were not live, right? So they did not have live player cams and their reactions, which was So Krim, you were actually part of this, right? It was some of the best parts of the Mythic Invitational, right? Watching people react, them having fun, them, like hoping for that top deck or, face palming when their opponent gets the perfect top deck. Like that's part of the fun. But also when I heard Magic Esports, I was thinking of like an arena with 2 competitors, maybe even a little crowd, a live caster desk cheering, like the crowd goes wild, right? Like imagine watching a football game with no crowd noise, right? Like and then that Twitch sub only chat like even further dampens that. But I feel we need some of this, right? And we have the live casters desk, but we didn't have like live competition with like a in studio audience and like fan chants and stuff like that. Like I think they need to actually get that to get the sports feeling, right? Like the fan chants, the cheering, a pan of the audience, which the Mythic Invitational actually had, right? Because it was actually a live venue. So I think they need to do some of that to actually make this an esports as opposed to, some kind of streaming event, right? Or online streaming event. Like Twitch Rivals, this is basically the same thing, right? Like MPL should be a step up from that.
I mean, how do you do that though? Like, I mean, that's like flying all these players from like all over the world. You know what I mean? Like to
keep them there, right? If you want to be MPL, come to Seattle, live here for a year. We pay you your salary.
Like, so have them relocate, leave their lives at home and move to Seattle though? I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I mean, because then do you think the contract then has to go up in value because like you're leaving home now? It's not like the convenience from your home. You're just leaving your house and you're moving to Seattle temporarily for what is maybe a year. Who knows, right? Because who knows how long this MPL contract thing goes for?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how sports works, right? I don't know. Like at some point we have to make that. You have to bite the bullet, right? You're like, look, this is a job offer, and the job offer is in Seattle. Right. So if you want it, we will pay you this much. You will relocate here and we will do this. Right. And then like, how kind of like the amateur pro players, like if you want to grind events, you move to like Roanoke or something, right? Like that's where all the SCG events are, centered around. Kind of here, right? If you want to be MPL and you're a Magic hopeful, you go to Seattle and you stay there, and then you're going to be in this community of Magic players, and MPL will happen every weekend, and kind of like how Los Angeles is like the hub for League of Legends and things like that. I think, like, I don't know, like I don't know how else you would get a live audience. I think the live audience is actually what makes it fun, right? Like what makes watching Magic fun is cheering with other people, right? Like sitting there backseat driving with all the other fans of like, oh, why did he do that play? And like gasping and like that's kind of the spectacle, right? Imagine watching wrestling without an audience or football without an audience. Like that's what we're doing, right? Like it's just me and the computer and like a Twitch chat message like every like 5 minutes, right? Like it's not the kind of same fan environment.
Okay. And like, don't get me wrong, I agree. I think all of that has to happen. Like it would be great to have that happen. Then it becomes like a spectacle and like this crazy huge event. But it just seems kind of hard to ask, you know what I mean? Like to bring all those players and then like have them like live in a streamer house or something like that. You know what I mean? Cause like you can do that with League. Sure. League contracts though are bigger, right?
Yeah.
So
well, now they're big, right? But like imagine 5 years ago, it was just as bad as this, right?
Sure. But like, I think at this point though, that would then mean that WotC would have to up their contract game to where League is and Dota is and stuff like that right now, in order to make like that happen. Now, I would love to see that happen. I would love to also like see like, like a Magic Arena thing fill up an esports stadium or something like that, right? That's great.
Yeah.
I think it would be amazing to see it filmed there. But yeah, the hardest part is just all of this, like getting everyone under one roof seems kind of difficult. I can understand that for like invitationals, maybe keep that for like the invitational. And then I don't think having them like film like the way they are right now is the absolute worst. So I think it's totally fine. I think the only thing they need to do is just spin a narrative, get a little more story to it. And yeah, add face cams if you want, although it's like face cams from their house, but even then it's a face cam, right?
Just green screen in the stage.
Yeah, you can green screen in the stage. Actually, yeah, then just like soundboard the crowd, right?
It's like the sitcom laugh track. We'll add those in. It's fine. It's fine.
That could work.
So since we're on the MPL topic, let's delve a little deeper into this because we've had some MPL changes. Some of these are just happening like as we are recording. So first off, step one, we kind of got the end of the Yuuya situation. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Yuuya being DQ'd from the last Mythic Championship for having some suspiciously marked sleeves on his Tron deck. Well, the news came out this past week. Yuuya kicked out of the MPL, kicked out of the Hall of Fame, and also banned for 30 months, which is, 2.5 years? Wizards said they also reviewed, past video footage. They didn't say what they found exactly, but it sounds like they did a pretty big investigation into this. So, yeah, what do you think about the punishment for Yuuya's crime?
It pains me because Yuuya at the time was a player that I really enjoyed watching. I would always root for. So there's that part, but the punishment is fine. I think it's perfect. I mean, it shows that they're taking this seriously, that it doesn't matter, if you're a Hall of Famer or not, we will revoke that and also boot you out of the MPL. Not just for a week or something like that. This is a real punishment and I like it. It shows, cause there's a lot of people that have this fear of playing paper events and they view online events as easier because you don't have to worry about getting cheated by random things or, stuff like that. And this is showing that, yeah, we're trying to crack down on that.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, he definitely can't be an MPL. And then if he's suspected of cheating, he can't be in the Hall of Fame. And 30 months gives a punishment window, but also a chance for redemption. If he wanted to, he could come back and try to play clean again and build up a second career, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if he'd be eligible for Hall of Fame in the future. If he pulls an LSV or something and just has, or a Finkel where he has multiple Hall of Fame careers, or if this is forever a mark and he will never get in again. But there is a chance for redemption while being severe to kind of send a message, right? Cheating is not tolerated. And also, even if you're Hall of Fame or MPL, you're not protected, right? So I think it was fine.
Yeah, I think for me, the big thing is that's a pretty severe punishment, which I think is probably deserved. But to me, it says that Wizards didn't have much doubt about this situation. There was a lot of debate in the community, could it be some crazy situation? Could it be an accident? Could someone else have done it? I don't think Wizards would have laid down a 30-month ban and getting kicked out of the Hall of Fame if they weren't pretty convinced that this was intentional cheating. That is a really harsh punishment. We saw the kind of opportunistic cheating DQ, and the punishment was you don't get to play in the Mythic Invitational. So if that's the punishment for opportunistic cheating, they had to be very convinced that this was intentionally cheating on Yuuya's part.
We need better classification of cheating. What is it? First degree, second degree, third degree murders and things like that. But yeah, hopefully we never talk about this ever again. Right? Every time we talk about cheating in Magic, it's just facepalm. Because like Krim said, right? People have this fear, you're going to get cheated on when you go to a paper tournament and things like that, right? And it's just a side of the game that we all wish would go away, but will just keep coming, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You wouldn't think about it, but it's annoying. When I was judging, when I did that a while back, I had to watch for cheating at a pre-release, and it's dude, come on.
At a pre-release?
Yeah, at a pre-release, and it's just dude, come on.
So the second piece of MPL news just happened a few minutes ago. Jerry Thompson stepping down from the MPL. Not going to go too deep into the reasons. I know I just saw that Jerry posted a podcast over on the GAM podcast with his reasonings for it. it sounds like it's taking a stand on some things he doesn't agree with, similar to when he didn't play at Worlds and kind of protested Worlds. But I haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast because it literally went up as we were recording this podcast. So I don't want to like speculate on his reasons. If you want Jerry's reasons, listen to his podcast for his reasons. But Jerry Thompson, also out of the MPL. And then Richard, we have a couple of new MPL members replacing Yuuya and also Jerry. Who are they?
You put me on the spot. So one is Savich, and the other is
Jessica Estefan, I believe.
Estefan?
Yep.
Hopefully I'm pronouncing Jessica's name
Jess-Stefan,
properly.
if you would.
Jess-Stefan.
Jess-Stefan is her Twitch.
So what do you guys make of this? I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, the duality of the MPL and everyone kind of being confused as to what the goal is. I think the new additions, they're good players and they're entertaining people and I like them. Are they top 32 players in the world? I think the answer is probably no. And then the initial criteria was top 32 players on pro points. What do you guys think of this weird mixture? I think that a lot of the tension with the MPL is coming from this duality with people not really understanding what the goal is, and maybe Wizards not completely understanding what the goal is, because starting it out as strict cut top 32 pro points and then just kind of putting in random good Magic players, it's a little bit weird. Would the MPL be better if Wizards was just like, all right, this isn't the top 32 players, it's 32 good players that we want to represent our brand, and we're going to put in whoever we want to and just set that up front so people could stop debating and wondering about it?
So WotC never said it was the top 32 players, right? They're just like, this is where we're starting, and we haven't released the criteria for the future seasons. And at this point, it's pretty clear, right? If you are a top 32 player, but you have a marred background, I guess, like if you are controversial on Twitter or something, or you do things that are not in line with Wizards' visions, like you're not going to be invited. We all know that at this point, right? So it's just whoever Wizards will invite. And I remember from the first Mythic Championship, someone said, look, if you want to get in, there's one true and tried tested way. Just win all the Mythic Championships and WotC can't ignore you, right? So you just be a good Magic player and then you'll be in the pool of WotC's consideration and then they're going to decide, right? But at the end of the day, I think MPL is something they want to use that represents Magic's brand, and Magic's brand is not only about competitive players, right? So they're going to branch out from the strict top list of players. So I don't see anything wrong with this. I don't know.
The thing is, like, I agree with you.
That's what Hall of Fame is for, right? I don't know.
Like, I think I kind of agree. The problem is the MPL, the way it's designed is like, you get to go to every pro tour. You get to do all this like super ultra spiky stuff that we normally associate with like the best players in the world. So like, I think the MPL would be a lot more entertaining if it was like the Magic Invitational League and you invited a bunch of good people that Wizards liked. But I think it's really weird that with how it's set up with all these like auto qualifiers and pro points and stuff, it's at odds with what we traditionally think of.
Right? It's just a pro league, which means they're getting paid to play Magic. It's still, no, I don't know. It's still a line.
What do you think, Grim?
I do not mind this at all personally, because I think this is, first off, like, Jess is already a good player. I'm not really surprised. I think they said something about her having like the highest amount of like pro points. Like they want to invite a ton of people that have diversity. And I think Savich is just a good player. Naturally, I know his history in Magic is still like, at least like from like, streaming standpoint is a little newer, but I know I've watched him from all of his other games. He'll get there. He's very good at the games that he plays. And now when he's got a contract behind it, he's definitely going to get very good at the games that he plays. So like, I love the two pickups, and I love the idea of, the fact that you can pull people from all over, wherever, as long as they're, this is kind of going to tie back to what you said earlier. And maybe this is how you make things a little more entertaining. Cause it's not just straight face spiky Magic, right? It's going to be everything all over the place now. And I like that. I personally like that. Only thing I wish is like maybe they should increase more than 32 people. That's my only issue with all of this. There should be more than 32 people. I'm not saying there should be like 1,000 or something like that, but I'm saying just a little bit more than that. Overall, I like this. I really like the idea of bringing in people that yeah, okay, sure. They're pro players now, right? That's all that matters. They're pros now. and that's what I will accept. You tell me they're a pro, they're a pro. Good to me.
They were granted an advantage by WotC, right? But they are pro players now.
Yep.
And if they suck, they won't be invited back next season. They'll get relegated and they'll rotate out or whatever.
We don't know that.
I'm sure they will, right? Like WotC will get rid of them.
We don't have any criteria or transparency. Like they probably will, but we have literally no idea like how anyone is doing anything. I think
like it's the first iteration, right? You can't expect them to get it perfect. Like I don't know. They probably don't know what they're doing. And this is not set in it's not Hall of Fame, right? It's not like they're forever invited to every Mythic Championship, right? Like next season, they're like, okay, wait, right? All these people are not doing well. We'll just cut them all and go to top 32. Like they could do that if they wanted. Like it's not.
They're definitely, this is like still a trial period, right? I feel like, so like, I mean, I don't even know if anyone knows, like in the MPL, how long their contracts are actually going for, right? Like, so
I would hope they know how long their contract is.
But like a year, right? Like it's a year, and will it go past that? Will it get renewed, right? Past that? We don't know. And like right now, maybe what they're doing is we're going to see how much more exciting the MPL is when you shake it up a little more. And I get it, there's going to be the arguments of like, oh, these people deserve to be here, and then these people don't deserve to be there. But it's like you said, if this is to become an esport, I think you have to change some things up. And this could be fun. Having personalities, having multiple people from all over the place, random, all over, just is great.
That's not how sports work, though.
What?
You're not like, hey, I really like you, person, so you're my starting quarterback now.
But
like, that's just not like, I don't like, it seems in the context of them getting rid of all the pro levels that have been going on for years and people that have been working at gold and silver and platinum for years. And now we have people that are GoFundMeing their MCQ wins because they don't get any money to make it to Barcelona. So they have to post GoFundMes to get enough money to make it to the Pro Tour. The whole system to me seems very weird and scattered. And I think
true. Like if you're an aspiring pro, there's no path for you right now, right? So I do agree with you, Seth, that it's not clear what to do and you're kind of just left hanging. So those people are impacted and they will continue to be until WotC figures it out. Because I don't think WotC knows either what they're doing, right? They're just like, okay, this seems good. Like this is the lineup we want to represent us. And then we'll see how it goes. And then they've kind of just left all of the former gold and plat players like hanging, right? Like, so yeah, it's a bad situation for them.
I think if we had like the old pro system and then we just like also had the Magic Pro League to go on Saturdays and sure, like qualify some people for pro tours, I think that would alleviate a lot of my issues with it. Then you invite whoever you want, you make it the best like entertainment product possible. And I think the other reason I'm a little bit frustrated with it is like, I tweeted yesterday about like, hey, I really wish the Magic Pro League was more entertaining. And I had a lot of people give me this like, it's the literal best players in the world, and like went off about that and wanting it to be just like ultra spiky pro tour every weekend thing, which I think is silly anyway from an entertainment perspective. But also if you're just going to pick and choose whoever kind of goes against that argument. So I just don't know what the goals of the MPL are at this point. I'm very confused. I'm not even sure Wizards knows what the MPL is. If it's a spike thing, if it's an entertainment product, is it attached to the Pro Tour? Is it to get people watching their Twitch on Saturday afternoons? I don't think they know. And I definitely don't know. And no one else knows.
We definitely know, right? We know at a high level. At the high level is to grow Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
Right. And we already know from just discussion that it's not going to be purely spike because we know that's not going to grow Magic in the way that they want Magic grown. So we know this is going to morph into basically WWE. This is what we've decided. And I think it's true. And like how they do it, how they brand this league, and do they set up some, league for actual competitive play is the question. But we do know that this is for the growth of Magic. They're not throwing all this money in to, make a top 32 list of Magic players, right? They're throwing all this money in to grow the game and to get more players.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a top 32. I think top 32 people they feel best represent the brand.
But
That's a good way to say it.
But why wasn't that the choice when they created it 3 months ago and took
People
all the
will
top
be
pro
upset
points?
if you say that.
Because
What
was
changed
marketing.
in the past 3 months where you're like went from I want all the best pros by pro points straight cut to I want whoever I want. Like that's what's
So
confusing
here-
me. Did they just do a 180 in the past few months since they came up with this idea? Like if you had done that
Here's
from the
the serious
beginning,
answer.
I wouldn't have many of these questions about it. If you're just like I invited all these people.
I think they did do a 180 because from the inception of MPL to now, we've had 3 players leave, right? We have Owen,
Yeah.
Yuuya, and Jerry Thompson, right? So maybe Wizards is saying, okay, look, if you just randomly choose the top 32 players, like stuff like this keeps happening, right? So we need to actually choose so that this doesn't happen.
yeah,
So maybe it is from that, right? Because 3 players of 32, that is 10% have left, right? For various reasons. That is not a good look, right? So maybe they actually have changed their criteria since we've started.
yeah, maybe like the change, like yeah, they didn't start with this because of those reasons, right? Like I mean, they didn't start because they wanted to just pick the 32 and see what happens. And since just going by whoever the top 32 are, since doing that, a lot have left and there's been some negative publicity, all this other stuff. Now they get to kind of like vet who they pick and it hopefully, doesn't happen anymore. Like this is the trial. It's a lot like I said earlier, it's a trial period right now, right? Nothing's set in stone, but they like the idea of this MPL, but they don't, maybe they, like you said, they don't know what it is exactly yet, but maybe now they just move it to top 32 people that represent the brand best.
I think when it comes right down to it, my issue is I don't feel like Wizards really has any of this planned out. And I feel like they decided to make huge changes to competitive play and a lot of aspects of the game. And it feels like they don't really have a solid plan. It seems like they're just kind of, and we've talked about this at various times in the past, but
That's the
this is
Watsy we know and
an
love.
extreme example of them just kind of like throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks. And this is taking place in the context of like new mulligan rules and printing modern sets that have never happened before. And like a lot of changes going on. So it makes me very concerned. Not the people that have been added to the MPL or left the MPL or whether they're the best players or not, but just the feeling that I don't have much trust that Wizards has like a plan that they're executing right now. And instead it feels like they're just kind of throwing things up there and crossing their fingers and hoping for the best. And that doesn't seem like the best strategy to run a successful business.
So you say that and it's 100% true, right? Like it looks very sketchy. Who knows what's going on? But if you actually take a step back, Magic is doing phenomenal right now, right? Like we are up in Twitch, like we are like a top game.
Yeah, we're not like
Mythic
bottom
Invitational.
2 anymore.
Yeah, it was successful. War of the Spark is crazy. Mythic Edition, aside from the snafu, was like widely, everyone loved it. Same with the Japanese Planeswalkers. So like from a high level perspective, Wizards has been killing it. Even though when you look at the actual details, it's very sketchy and people are kind of winging it and doing things on the fly and editing things, but it's kind of been working out. I don't know. It's been fine, right, Seth?
I mean, if there's one thing you can say about Wizards, they are really good at designing Magic cards, and we saw that with War of the Spark, and Arena has exceeded expectations, so I think I agree. As far as, like, the actual game itself, Magic's doing really well. As far as, like, a lot of the stuff that surrounds the game, I don't have a ton of confidence that there's a plan that's being executed at the moment.
Sounds
I don't
like
know.
you should join Watsy to help fix it.
I would rather play my bad against the odds decks. I do not want to have to deal with the issues, and their job has got to be hard, and they've undergone a lot of changes, and I'm sure they have a lot of pressure from Hasbro. So this isn't to bash anyone specifically at Wizards, but it does seem a bit scattershot at the moment as far as
I'm
like,
pretty
MPL
sure they
and
just
whatnot.
roll into work. They're like, drinking some coffee. Like, oh, we had 120,000 people on stream yesterday. Spit out all the coffee. Like, what do we do now? We have so many people. It's like, look, we have like X million players playing Arena. What do we do? They're like, I don't know. What do we do? And they run around in circles. I'm pretty sure that's what happens every Monday at WotC now. So hopefully they get it together. But I think it's been going pretty well. So even if they're fumbling around, it's kind of working. So excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, we got to move on and get fish mail. We're rambling on a bit too long about MPL stuff. So Richard, give us some fish mail.
All right. Captain WoW 26. If you were to play a top tier modern deck for a Mythic Championship, which ones would you pick? Have you ever played any format besides Commander together?
Ooh.
Krim, what is your top tier modern deck for a Mythic Championship?
Well, I mean, with the way the actual meta looks right now, I really like, I know, like Esper Control is a good deck. That's fine. I know. It's like, well, why would you ask me? Cause you know, I'm going to tell you that. Cause it's just got versatile answers. And of course, if not, there's like, is it Phoenix? I mean, okay, take away what my love for Esper and how, like, I genuinely think it has good tools to fight the meta, but just to humor everyone else, I will recommend playing something that has Faithless Looting. So is it Phoenix, Dredge, maybe Death Shadow? Tron was really popular, but that was because of the London Mulligan. Now with that off Moto, I've been running into nothing but Grixis Death Shadow. And like that's mostly all I run into online. So Grixis Death Shadow, humans, you can try to just do something that isn't, that is just super aggressive. And anything that's super aggressive will make it so that it doesn't matter what your opponent's doing if they're, dead before they can get any of their wheels like spinning. So
yeah,
Phoenix does that. Humans does that. Dredge has some pretty disgusting starts. Of course, Dredge folds to potential hate, but yeah. And if you like doing math, like lots of math, you can do hardened scales. I do not enjoy doing too much math. So hardened scales is probably like the last deck you'll ever see me play.
I would probably go with humans. A lot of the top tier decks, I don't like Dredge. I don't like Tron. I would not enjoy playing however many rounds at a Mythic Championship with them. So if I gotta pick one of the top tier decks, I think humans is probably the deck that I would have the most fun with. You get some tricky lines. You still have a fast clock. It is a really powerful deck, and it has a lot of answers to a lot of the unfair decks going on with Meddling Mage and Kite Sail freebooters and so forth. So.
Correct.
Yeah, humans is the best Jund deck currently, so yeah.
But like, I do also like this sweet, like, new, is it Phoenix deck that's like pretty much playing, it's not like super new, but before they were sideboarding Pyromancer's Ascension, now you see some of them just full on bringing them all, like just like mainboarding them. And it's just like, oh yeah, we'll just burn you out if you exile our Phoenixes and stuff like that.
All right, next question. 11 Vicious. Hot take on Modern Horizons. We're getting Dak faded. What's your hot take?
Ooh. I actually think we will probably potentially get Dak Faden. That would be on my list. They're going to reprint Force of Will. That's my hot take.
That is the hottest of takes. Oh, I don't know. What is your hot take, Richard? I gotta think on mine for a second.
I can't outdo Force of Will. Like, they're not going to do Wasteland or Days. Like, I don't know. Stoneforge? Is this the unbanning of Stoneforge time? I think it is. Stoneforge.
Hot take? I think my hot take will they'll create a brand new blue planeswalker that's gonna be better than Jason Teferi.
Whoa.
Hot take or dream?
Yeah. A little bit of both. Okay,
Teferi,
look.
Small Teferi.
Okay.
Jace the Mind Sculptor.
It's gonna be Teferi, the Mind Sculptor of Dominaria.
It's like a zero to cast planeswalker, starts at 10 loyalty. You're like, who made Crim's Invitational card? What's going on?
Like, look, if we're going to talk about Force of Will, we may as well just throw that in there. I see those two happening. Those are both as likely to happen, in my opinion.
+1 until your next turn. You may cast any blue instant card in your hand by exiling a blue card and paying 1 life. No problem. We got this.
3 mana and untap 2 mana at the end of your turn.
All right. Manseer's Legros. Playing Esper Control on Arena. I face Wub and UBR. So Jeskai and Esper Control 90% of my ranked games. Try to rig the system by mainboarding Control Hate and putting sweepers in sideboard. Haven't seen a Control deck in 20 games. Coincidence, or should I put on a tinfoil hat?
I can tell you right now, that is always how it goes. I do the same. I'm just like, well, let's humor it. I'll hedge my bets. And sometimes it works though. Like this season I hit Mythic because I just hedged my bets. I'm like, I'm going to play like 3 duress main board, move all like only have like 1 sweeper in the main deck. And it actually worked. So I don't know. It's a ladder. And this is the best thing about a ladder system. It's really actually just random.
All right. Maxi Wawa. Hi, Krim. Can you describe all you had to do to get to the Mythic Invitational, starting with the events that just anyone could enter? The chain or ladder you had to climb? Thanks.
To get to the Mythic Invitational?
Mm-hmm. You were just invited, right?
Yep. I just pretty much turned on my computer and I played a lot of Magic. And I worked hard to, I don't know, play Magic. And I guess I got picked.
Well, not just play a lot of Magic, stream a lot of Magic.
Yes, stream a lot of Magic. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much, I mean, I don't know the criteria, right? So I did not know what the criteria was. I didn't do all this because I thought there would be some crazy big stage I'd be going to. I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to play Magic. So, you know what I recommend? Playing Magic. And streaming Magic. Yeah. I think you should play Magic, stream Magic, and genuinely have fun while doing it. Not trying to get anything out of it. Don't stream and play Magic because you think, well, I better do this. So Watsy invites me to the invitational dinner or something like that. You know what I mean?
All right. Next question. Fight Growl. Watsy is making a lot of cards that remove hexproof / indestructible, cards that circumvent the legend rule in Exile Zone. I feel this ruins the initial concept of those mechanics. Do you feel this is bad game design?
Oh my, hexproof.
I feel hexproof.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's wrong with hexproof?
Oh my goodness, it's so brutal. I do not feel bad. I think there should be more answers to hexproof. It does not lead to fun Magic, in my opinion. And I think Marrow has talked about wishing if he could go back in time, having Legendary not actually have any rules implications in the game and just be a flavor thing. So I'm not really surprised to see it going that direction, and I'm pretty okay with it. I think dealing with hexproof is good, and things like Spark Double or Helm of the Hosts, they get around the legendary rule are pretty fine, especially since they're not like super aggressively costed to like show up in top tier tournament decks or whatever. But I think it's a fun mechanic to have around.
Yeah, I like all of the I like circumventing the legend rule. I think that's fun. For whatever reason, I do not like circumventing the Exile Zone. I feel it just makes Exile like a second graveyard. I feel like once something is exiled, it should be exiled forever. But like, I understand where the submitter is getting with this, but I think it's fine. I think it keeps Magic fresh, and there's cool interactions. Like when you take some of the new cards and then pair them with the old cards, it makes, when you have cards that were never designed, like when they made a legendary, they're like, okay, there's always only going to be one of them. And then 10 years later, they print this other card that lets you have duplicate legendaries. I think that makes for cool interactions in Commander.
Oh, yeah. I think Spark Double's a super sweet card. So, and because of that, like having 2 Planeswalkers, I got an uptick 2 Teferis. That felt so good. Oh my gosh. Untap 4 lands. That's a free Spark Double. That's a free Spark Double.
Last question. Alden B4610. From a finance perspective, do you think when foiling out a deck that it is better to keep non-foil copies or insure the deck in case of theft / loss?
Oh.
How does the non-foil copies help?
Yeah.
I guess if you lost your deck, you would still have it in non-foil. It doesn't help you financially, though, really. I would be worried about holding on to non-foil copies because they're probably going to get reprinted a lot. We've seen a lot of reprints, especially of commander type deck, staples in decks. So I wouldn't want to just hold on to non-foils for years and years. I think probably more likely over the long run to get reprinted and go down in value than to just keep going up in value. I do not know how much it costs to insure a deck. If it's not super expensive, I guess I would go that direction. Do either one of you know anything about insuring a deck?
I've never wanted to, so I don't know. I mean, I all I can say is that I personally although like it is easier to, I think it's easier to move non-foil cards if you care about that for finance. Cause although foil cards are more expensive, they are a lot harder to get rid of.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much your deck is. Yeah. But I've seen the common wisdom is you can add your magic cards to like your renter's insurance or your home insurance. But you need to do it in a certain way. Like you need to kind of enumerate and have some kind of spreadsheet of all the values or something. But that seems to be the most foolproof way. If your deck is expensive. I don't understand the non-foil copies, like how that helps, but insuring your deck, like a lot of people do it, people with expensive collections. Like even if you don't, if it's a deck, you always run the risk of losing it, someone breaking into your car and stealing it, but also in your home, someone can just steal it, or you could have a flood or a fire or something. So I think insuring your deck or your collection in general is a pretty good idea.
I've just never done it. I don't know how you would even go about it. Like,
you have to call your insurance person. It's like a simple add-on to like your normal home insurance or renter's insurance. I do know that much.
Huh.
It's like insuring like expensive jewelry or something, right? There's like some special thing that you can do to do that.
I mean, I guess if you have a really expensive deck and it's not super expensive to insure it, then that's probably worth looking into at least. I guess I would just want to make sure it was covered for like theft and all other sorts of things that could happen to your deck. But yeah, I mean,
I know you can buy it, but I haven't seen examples of people successfully claiming it, right? Like, they'll take your money and they'll say it's insured. And then when time comes and you actually lose your deck, like how easy is it to get a replacement deck from your insurance? Like that is the question. If anyone has actual examples of that, I'd love to see it or learn about it. Like see if it actually is as easy as, hey, you insured my Power 9 collection, it's worth this much, please give me this much money, right? Like I wonder if it's actually that easy or like what happens when you actually have to claim it. So that's all our questions for this week. Thank you to everyone who sent in fish mail. You can send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And I think that brings us to the end of episode 224 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard Cribb, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. And we will be back next week with some sweet new Modern Horizon spoilers. So, until then, this is the crew signing out.